you know, we want to have the solutions, but we don't. But we want to implement solutions to problems that can be solved before they even start. We want to solve problems after problems happen, but we want to let the problems happen first so we can solve them instead of just preventing the problem in the first place. And the best example of that is our health in the United States. I went on this rant the other day. Some of you heard it, some of you didn't. But I am a strong believer that there's no fucking way that we will ever have free healthcare or Medicare for all in the United States. Not because the Republicans won't do it or the left won't take the time to implement it or whatever. Simply because we will not be able to afford it. And nothing in life is free, Eric, you're right. But I'm just saying, we could not afford Medicare for all. First of all, we can barely afford Social Security and Medicare as it is. Everything we do, the whole debt ceiling and taxes and all that shit, the majority of that is going to pay for the worst fucking policy that has ever been implemented in the United States, that's Social Security. And it keeps getting more and more expensive. So to even consider the Medicare for all deal, you would have to get rid of Social Security. But we could not afford Medicare for all. Why? Because we already spend 18% of our GDP on social spending or on healthcare spending. For those of you that don't know, I said it the other day, Norway pays about 25%. 25% of Norway's GDP is about $90 billion. We spend 4.5 times that amount more in NATO spending than every other country. We literally spend the equivalent to Norway's total GDP more in a percentage-wise than any other country for NATO spending. If we just paid the same percentage as what NATO, or the same percentage as every other country that in NATO did, we would save the equivalent to Norway's total GDP every year. We could fucking buy Norway every year over and over again with the amount of money that we save by just paying the same amount proportionately as every other country in NATO. That's fucking ridiculous, and that's why Trump was hitting on that. The other thing is, going back to the Medicare deal, we're too fat. We pay 18% of our GDP towards healthcare spending. The majority of the healthcare costs that we spend on is towards obesity-related issues. Well, that's something that can be fixed. Norway's population, I think it was like 4% were obese or something like that. In the United States, 49% roughly, I believe, was the number. It's close to 50%. Don't quote me. I have the statistics somewhere. It's like 40-some% of the population is overweight. That's crazy. The leading cause of death in the United States is heart disease. And cancer and diabetes were in the top 4. Main causes of cancer, a lot of them could be fixed or dwindled down by a better diet and exercise. Heart disease, the majority of those cases would have been solved by diet and exercise. Let's take the diet out of it. Okay, let's say you're going to eat fast food. Exercising for 30 minutes a day will still completely change the makeup of the U.S. population. And the problem with people is they say, oh, I don't have time to exercise. Bullshit. Everyone has 30 minutes a day. 30 minutes, go on a walk. Everyone has 30 minutes a day. Everyone has 30 minutes a day. That will drastically change the health in this country. Why don't we incentivize exercising? Why don't we have tax deductions? You want to give tax credits to people? How about Joe Biden, why don't you give a tax credit to everyone every year in the amount of the $150 to go purchase a pair of running shoes, but you have to show proof that you did it. It has to be a pair of running shoes or some kind of athletic footwear. Will that just automatically mean that people are going to go exercise? No, but I guarantee you it's going to incentivize more people to do so. Again, you can't force anyone to do anything, but you can put things in place that will incentivize someone. Why don't you let us have a tax deduction for running shoes and workout clothes? You let me write off my suits and ties for business. Why can't I tax deduct the clothes I'm going to go work out in every day to maintain health? Which will in turn, me being healthy, will help the healthcare system because it's lowering the cost of my healthcare. The other thing is, why not offer tax credits to parents that are signing their kids up for a sport? You know, let's say it costs $100 to go sign your kid up for a football team, for his equipment and everything. Let's give them a tax credit for that. Let's encourage kids to be active. PE should be mandatory. And I'm not talking about PE where you just get dressed up and go, walk around the track and talk to your friends. No, I'm talking about fucking PE where you go out and we're running a mile twice a week and you got to make it in a certain time. And the other days we're playing like basketball or whatever, and you have to participate. It should be forced for every kid up until his senior year to take an hour PE a day. That's just my opinion. And if you go to college, then you should have to take so many hours of physical education or some sort of class, because you're going to force them to take fucking art and theater and all the other bullshit to get into your major. You might as well force them to take PE. 30 minutes a day will change your life if you're not an active person. That will drastically reduce the cost of our healthcare spending. Here's the other thing. Disability. Do you know what the number one cause of disability in the United States is? It's
No, I don't.
arthritis. The leading cause of arthritis is health issues or weight issues because of what it does to your joints and your bones. So if we get people moving, we get them active, we have a healthier society, we're going to have a smarter society because you think better, you operate better when you're healthy. Someone who is active, your mind is just all in it. You're better off. I promise. You're more productive. You can work longer. You don't get fatigued as much. You're happier. We would have less problem with drugs. We'd have less problem with depression. We'd have less problem with anxiety. We'd have less problem with heart disease. Hell, the only fucking thing we really have to worry about anymore is COVID. And then, guess what? You don't have to fucking worry about dying from COVID either, because it doesn't affect healthy people the same, does it? It all comes around in full circle. If you like this video, hit subscribe, go like the video, go share the video, and don't forget to check us out at the Real Conservative Talk podcast. Thank you.